The following podcast contains adult language and themes, so don't say we didn't fucking warn you.
You're listening to SarahTalk. It's political.
You could run a fucking pet rock against Donald Trump, and I would vote for the pet rock.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right
Yeah.
Critical.
One of the things that drives me nuts as an atheist is that my polling location is at a church. And I don't necessarily have a problem. I'm not going to like burst into flames walking into a church.
After being on this show and having heard your viewpoints on some things, my advice to you is don't test this. I won't burst into flames.
And positively LGBT positive.
In many states, you can still be evicted from housing simply for being gay or transgender. Stand and fight with us.
Oh, and occasionally completely absurd.
Oh, they're shutting us down. They're deplatforming us. I do a pretty good Alex Jones voice. We're turning the frogs gay.
Okay, you're sleeping in a child's room tonight because there's no way you're sleeping next to me. That is disgusting. I'm going to have nightmares.
And now, from Orlando, Florida, your host, Sarah Austin.
You saw me.
Hey,
Sorry.
everybody, welcome to SarahTalk. What are you doing?
I don't know. See, look.
Listen.
Look, that's what I just did, and I don't know how I did it.
Oh, I know how you did that. Listen, just because I did a show without you this week doesn't mean you can... whatever this is. I missed you on that show. Dan missed you on that show. It was a good time.
I missed myself on that show. Anyway.
Okay, so tonight we have an interview. And after the interview, we're going to talk about the racist states of America. And, but I want to talk about Thanksgiving, decorating for Christmas.
Okay.
That kind of stuff.
Okay. I was going to wear like
It's
an ugly Christmas sweater tonight, but I didn't have the money to buy
It's
it.
the last show before Thanksgiving.
I know.
Right? So we should probably
Halloween's over.
maybe
Merry
talk
Christmas.
about it. Yeah, exactly. So tonight, though, we're going to start off the show with director Jason Carmen and Baby Bagos Hood. They're co-creators of Super Gay, a musical sitcom series about a group of queer college students who, in trying to find themselves, discover they have superpowers.
Sounds amazing.
Which they have to use against ultra-conservative alt-right campus club, hell-bent on making any LGBTQ students suffer. This is this
Movie from my dreams. Musical from my dreams.
welcome to SarahTalk. I already want this show.
Great.
Sold.
That's good to know.
One short line, 2-line description, and I'm like, yep,
Yes,
this
please.
is let's do this. This
Shut up and
sounds
take the money.
good.
This sounds so good. Okay, so I understand that you are only just, and correct me if I'm wrong, finalizing scripts at this point and getting ready to go into production. But what can you tell us about this story?
Yeah, you take that one.
Okay. Super Gay is a wild ride from start to finish, and it's the story of these college students trying to find themselves, and it's sort of exemplified through superpowers and what that means for self-discovery. And the point of season 1 is living your life without any shame, and that can look a variety of different ways. But learning to love yourself and live life without shame, and what that looks like in 2018, 2019 on a college campus.
So what was the genesis of this thing? Where did you, how did you come up with this idea? Like, let's make this.
It was a drunk text.
Aren't they all?
I'm pretty sure I was trying to voice text into my notes app, but it came out in a text to Jason because I'm pretty sure the text said, pitch to Jason an amazing idea about gay superhero movie, and like, yeah, and then I got a call at 9 a.m. the next morning, and I'm like, hey, I drunk texted you. Don't call me at 9 a.m.
Right?
I was excited. I couldn't help it. I loved it.
Oh my God, that's great.
Right.
So, and I want to talk a little bit about the actors. So, one of the things we talk about here on the show from time to time, and it's often when a new show, gets announced or a movie, we have a serious problem with the big studios when it comes to queer representation, right? And how many times has a production been announced and they're like, oh, and there's a groundbreaking transgender character played by a cisgender actor, and we're like, God, don't you people understand any of this? Did that influence your storytelling and casting decisions?
I mean, that's kind of how I started coming up with an idea like this. As a queer, transgender fluid Filipina actress, there aren't really like standing roles or casting calls that are like, this is exactly what we're looking for.
Right.
So that sort of went into not either of the leads, but the character that I play, Honey Santos, is a trans Filipino woman in college and being played by me. And so that went into the casting process, and as I'm casting the other characters too, looking into like the lead is a Black pansexual woman, and then the second lead, Artie, is a gay man. And that was something that was really important to me going into the casting process, as I need to not only like create this opportunity for myself as a trans artist, but like I'm creating a platform for queer actors to perform, so that we can also show that, you know, you can make a queer TV show with queer people, which shouldn't be as shocking as it is.
Right.
And now we'll talk about this in a minute, but you're creating this in part as a pitch to Netflix. And Jason, you mentioned off air that only 2 out of the 600 LGBTQ films that are on Netflix have female leads. That's it. The rest are all white males.
Yeah. Yep.
That's absurd.
Pretty incredible. Yeah.
It kind of looks like the Republican House representation.
Did you see the? I don't know how political you are, but I could guess. Did you see the picture, the side by side that they did of like, here's the new Republican representatives coming into office, and all of them are white, and then here's the racially and gender and everything diverse Democratic group. Wow.
Pretty talented, huh?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just found it funny.
No, that was great. You make me cough.
Wow.
Yeah. So representation is that's obviously a huge deal. So talk a little bit more about some of the characters.
So the lead of the show is Annie, and as Baby said, she's a African American pansexual girl, and the characters are, you know, what earlier when you said the scripts are being finalized, that's a loose word. Finalized, but the base of the story is, and the characters is kind of, as we're moving through our finalization of the scripts and actually doing our sort of final drafts and touches on the outlines and the scripting, the last thing that we're really touching in the next few days is the characters. So there's been a lot of, so forgive us if we're a little confused with that, but there's been a lot of turbulence there as we've been changing them. As the director, I really believe in strong characters, which sure, I think every director does. But my goal is to really create, especially in this scenario, because I personally don't think in the rest of my career I'll ever have an opportunity to make an impact on a community quite the way that this show will have, if we do our jobs right. And I really want to make sure that the characters are perfect in their in the accuracy and representation of who they might be representing in the sub communities they're a part of the LGBTQ community. That's really important. And then also just making them diverse and interesting and funny while also being serious is a big part. The hardest part, I think, of coming up and writing these characters has been working on our antagonists, which is the lead antagonist. His name is Michael, and he is the leader of a student organization called Chaff, also known as Christ's Hands and Feet. And it's been hard to dive into that and really dissect why certain people are as homophobic as they are. So a lot of the research has surprisingly been on that side, trying to figure out, you know, because I don't want to make unrealistic antagonists. I want the show, to be super crazy, and they're singing and there's superpowers and fights. It's great, super entertaining. It's got a lot of inappropriate humor. But I also want it to just have, in a snap of a finger, extremely cutting, realistic scenes representing problems that we have in the community. Specifically with obviously ultra conservative groups and people like that. So we've done a lot of research into them as well.
Yeah, that's that. I think that's really important. That because so while we're making a narrative, right, we're crafting the narrative. One of the things that I try to keep in mind with when we do the show, like, so we'll do news topics and stuff. And it'll often be the most outrageous of the extreme right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's not representative of the group necessarily.
Yep.
They're driving policy right now. Like they're
exactly
they're the ones that are definitely in charge. And so we have to talk about them. But yeah, I don't want to misrepresent their position and make a straw man. And so yeah, I think that's really important. That's cool. I didn't even think about that.
That's definitely a huge part of it. Obviously not misrepresenting them, although we don't really have a problem with it. But
they have pretty awful positions.
There's not very. You can't stretch it.
No.
Very far without.
No.
I mean, I'm sure. I don't know. There's some pretty extremes out there.
Yes, and a big part of it has been researching them and making sure we get that right on their side. But more importantly, so we can dive into the why behind it. A lot of the research that I found in looking at, characters and why people are homophobic, why people are racist, and in general have issues with other people tends to stem from their upbringing. And so researching that is, it's an important part of knowing your characters. Why they act the way they act usually has to do with the way that they're raised. And Michael and Annie, our protagonist and antagonist, are very similar in the way that they were raised. Annie was raised in a really homophobic family. And as opposed to coming out of it extremely homophobic, she comes out of it pansexual and doesn't alienate her family at all, despite them alienating her and treating her poorly. She decides to take that in stride and fight discrimination and stand up for what she believes in with pride, as opposed to Michael, who totally goes the other route and decides to hate and persecute anyone that he can involve with it.
Yeah, that's touching because so for those of you that have heard this story, you can zone out for a minute. I grew up in rural, conservative, middle of nowhere, Illinois, and gay was a hushed four-letter word that you just didn't talk about, and so even the thought of being trans, although we didn't have those words in the 90s, that would not have even been a possibility. But I can remember, and I came from that small town. I had a high school graduating class of 32. That's how small town this is.
Oh, wow.
And I went into conservative talk radio for a long time. And then I moved down here to Florida and in the liberal bubble and met people who looked and talked and acted and loved differently than I did. And that really opened up my mind. But you got to be prepared for that, right? You have to be open to learning about different people and different ideas.
Out of curiosity, how many of those 32 stayed and how many left?
Oh, a bunch? No, we talked about that the other week. A bunch of those people still live in that small podunk town and are raising their families there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and what blows my mind is, I try not to talk in monoliths, but generally speaking, you go off to college and you get a little bit more liberal, right?
Sure.
No matter where you come from, college just something about learning things that makes you a little more liberal.
Opens your mind up.
You look at the election map, and anywhere there's a college.
Yep.
Anyway, where the books are.
Where the books are.
But no, a lot of those people they went off to college and then they came back. It blows my mind. I don't know.
It's so weird.
But no, I want to say we're completely off the tracks. But
well, don't we do that around here?
Though.
Yeah, we do. I want to say,
and that actually does bring us back in a little different way, because you said that going to college makes people in general more liberal, and I just graduated from University of San Diego in May. And it's interesting, in the last week, there were 2 Trump rallies on campus. They were trying to, they were demonstrators trying to recruit for a rally in San Diego during the weekend. And that is terrifying, knowing that is happening on, a college campus. Right. But the encouraging part was that both times, students of USD were able to counter-protest and take them down.
Nice.
And that's something that we're showing with Super Gay, is like, this is what a college campus looks like in 2018, 2019. Mm-hmm. Like, there are demonstrations and students on either side of politics, and the issues are like willing to stand up and rally and fight. And that can be encouraging, and that can also be terrifying, as far as where colleges are.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot with colleges lately in the whole free speech debate, Do we let, what was that asshole's name?
God, what was his name? I can't remember. Milo.
Milo Yiannopoulos. Yeah, do we let Milo come and dox trans people on a big screen in the auditorium? Or can we say, no, listen, you're done. We're going to take the microphone away from you. That's not acceptable in this forum. Mm-hmm. That's been a big topic of debate lately too, right? People, I don't think people understand what the government limits of free speech are, right? You have the freedom to say anything you want. You do not have the freedom from consequence of your speech.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can stand on the corner and be a racist fucking asshole all you want, but if somebody comes by and, something comes of that,
yeah,
they're not impinging on your freedom to speak. You spoke. You had to.
True.
But colleges have seen riots and demonstrations and all kinds of stuff around that topic. So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're going into production later this month?
January now. We pushed it back
a little bit.
Subject to move around, give or take. Depends on. Right now, our biggest thing is locking down funding. The scripting and the outlining is going extremely well, better than it should go. I guess sometimes it tends to be tough to write, but it's just, it's screaming with material. There's so much stuff to pull from for the show. It's not hard to create something that's very funny about some of the serious issues that the community's facing. But right now, the biggest thing holding us back is funding. Yes. So that's kind of why we're moving around and pushing and tweaking things.
Yeah. So so when it comes to funding on a thing like this, it's a labor of love, and you're working out of pocket, but there's no major studio throwing money at you, and yet fabric costs money to make costumes, and actors need paid, and you need to feed people, and equipment is expensive. Like, it takes a lot of money. How much? You can ballpark shoot from the hip here. How much do you think it would take to pull off a 10-episode run of a series like this?
I'm going to take this one, baby. I do a lot of research on this kind of stuff. If a studio like Paramount, so for, if you have a show like 13 Reasons Why, Netflix, everyone looks at Netflix as a Hollywood studio nowadays. They're like, oh, Netflix is a studio. No, they're not. They don't produce anything. They buy things.
Right.
And that's why they're 20 billion in debt right now. But they basically pay someone like Paramount to produce 13 Reasons Why. 13 Reasons Why is a $50 million a season series for essentially shots of the inside of a high school.
Wow.
Which is laughably large, but it's great for people like us. It has never been a better time to be a filmmaker. If you have the right kind of camera, and in our case, we have a Netflix compatible camera. It's got to be certain resolution, certain quality, yada, yada, yada. Right. You can produce a show. I've been doing this for 9 years. Baby's been in show business for longer, doing plays and musicals and writing. And we've worked together now for how long now?
I want to say like 7 years.
Just about, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, for us, it's like I know people at Netflix. We could very easily take the show there and pitch it. The issue with that is that in that happening, we lose all creative control and ownership of the show, which I'm not comfortable giving up. When someone like Baby and all the people that helped write it are representative of the community, where we'd give it to a bunch of white suits, that just want to make money. That scares me, and that's not what we want to do for the show. So hence we're doing it the way we're doing it here, to have more creative control and say in the final product.
Right. No, I think it would be hard. I mean, I've been a hack amateur musician in my past life.
Right.
There's a rack of guitars on the other side of the studio here that I never get to play because I have children, and then my time is just gone. But I've written some music, and I've auditioned for there was a thing one time that they were scouting talent, and I thought to myself, like, oh, this would be great. Let's do a music career.
Right.
And then how much creative control do you have over your style and your sound and your look,
Sure.
and your all of that stuff. You go to put an album together, and they're like, well, here are the songs that you're going to use, and wait, hold on, I don't get any say in that at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, like and you don't want someone to restrict the potency of the story,
Right.
by coming in and going, oh, we need to water this down a little bit for the broader
Right.
audience, or whatever they'd say. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
It's not my world, but that's what I would guess they would say.
Yeah. And it's because for them at the end of the day, it's about making money, which makes a lot of sense. But in Netflix, not to diss them in any way, they're great. They're the best thing that's, again, ever happened to independent studios, because you can literally go to them, pitch the idea, and they're like, sure, it's fine. I mean, Netflix has done more for disenfranchised communities in the past decade than Hollywood has in the past 50 years. I mean, you have shows like Orange is the New Black.
Love it. Orange is the New Black.
There's so many different things that they do, and they're willing to do it. So it's not necessarily a concern of that. But, if we take the show to Netflix, we feel that the show is best in the political climate that we're in now. We feel that the show has some very important things to say in where we are now, and we think that taking it to Netflix could make things take longer, more expensive than they actually need to be.
So how much time do you think then for you're doing a 10 episode run at this point? How long are you expecting that to take, from get us through now all the way to post?
So right now, pre-production, I mean, honestly, like, our goal is to shoot January, give or take a month, depending on funding and things. It's going to be a shoot of about 3 to 4 weeks. Okay. Which is also very small compared to, in our budget of 10,000 is small. And I didn't answer your question earlier. I think the estimated budget for a show like this would probably be like 30 to 45 million, simply because of the superhero visual effects. But my background is heavy VFX and know how to get around that. So, we can do a very similar quality for a lot less. Post will probably take a few months, and then pitching it and selling it, that's where it can take a while.
Right.
But it's nice. You got all these different, you got HBO, Amazon, Hulu, Netflix. You bid it to Netflix, and if they are kind of trying to lower your price on it, you just take it to Hulu, and then you start the bidding war. I would love for this to be out, or at least advertising by Pride. That is my goal.
Yeah. Oh, what a great.
Yeah.
That would be great to have the stars line up like that.
I think Baby wants to have a huge booth there, and I totally agree. That would be incredible.
That would be so much fun. A float.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That would be
The merch
so
for the
awesome.
show is incredible. It's just T-shirts that say "Super Gay," headbands. We even have condoms, Super Gay condoms.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, seriously, they're awesome.
That's awesome.
They're so
Yeah.
cute.
Very cool.
So speaking of merch, let's move into the let's get you guys some money section of the chat here. So you do have a GoFundMe set up, and and we'll share the link to that in the chat and the show notes. And to encourage people to support the project, you are offering some pretty cool rewards for donating, right? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Jason, you want to take that one, or I can take
Sure.
it?
Yeah, why don't you take it? Take that one.
So we've got a myriad of merchandising items, like Jason was saying, wristbands, headbands, condoms,
Hell yeah.
and T-shirts. We've also got different opportunities as far as being a featured extra on set and getting your picture shown somewhere in the series. And as a thank you for your donation, there are ways that we could make you sort of a part of it.
Oh, that's cool.
Get your name in the credits.
Everyone gets their name in the
How
credits.
cool
but
is
you
that?
Can,
Right?
It's pretty nice. It's pretty neat.
Mhm.
That's cool.
You get the only title that you can ever get. No, I can guarantee no other film in the history of the world or in the future will ever have a post-production title that says super gay producer. And it'll say that in the credits. It won't say producer. It'll say super gay producer.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Incredible right there.
Okay, so let's you fast forward a little bit. You talked about this to an extent, but I want to know a little bit more about the Netflix the process. So production wraps, you submit the thing to Netflix.
Right.
Do they accept unsolicited pitches, or do you have to have an in with somebody?
Yeah, Netflix does not take unsolicited pitches. I have a few people there that we know.
Okay.
And occasionally, it's always been my plan to do a Netflix show. For a while, I was working on a different one, and then we've had to put that on pause for a lot of funding reasons and legal reasons too. And then Baby called me about a couple days after that and said, "Hey, do you still want to do Super Gay?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, perfect." But yeah, Netflix does not take unsolicited pitches, and that process can be a little tedious.
Yeah.
But it's a very, the content right now isn't very good in terms of film and TV content. There's only like 20 shows that are really, hot tamales around Hollywood, right? And the idea is that if you get something in there, our sort of, I guess, pitch is that, it's not hard to get a show sold, but we'll bring it in there and we're willing to sell it for less than this show might normally sold for to get it up there and to get it in the community, right? So it's really just at that point it becomes they like it. They might have a few tweaks in terms of mostly technical quality, and then they put it up. They might do some advertisement, and then a big part of the fun part is the negotiation of the deal. Obviously,
you said fun and negotiate in the same sentence.
Whoa, wait a minute. The only way that negotiation is fun is you take your pants off, I'll take my pants off. And no.
No, listen, I'm one of these people. Yeah. I'm one of these people that hates going to the car dealership because I don't want to negotiate. Just tell me how much it costs.
That's a flat price.
Yeah. Tell me how much it costs and I'll pay it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so tell us about the fun negotiation.
Right.
It's fun because to say stuff like, all right, you're going to pay however much for the show, and we're going to reduce the cost a little bit. And as a result, you are going to put rainbow billboards all over the Bay Area.
Oh, hell
You're going
yeah.
to give us the big,
Okay.
You're going to give us the biggest booth at Pride. All the shirts will be free to people, like stuff like that. That's why it's fun.
Got it.
And Netflix is great. They're going to be like, yeah, that's fine. Great. So it's mostly about the details of the promotion. And then a big part of it is the ownership. The one thing that Netflix will not like about our pitch is that we'll want to retain ownership. But we're going to probably work in clauses that kind of say, and the reason they don't like that is because, for example, Walking Dead. Do you want to take a guess at how much it costs Netflix per year to keep one episode of The Walking Dead, to keep it?
I have no idea. I wouldn't even begin to guess.
$6 million a year.
Holy shit.
For every single episode. And originally it was around 50,000 a year. And then more people watch it, and then they say, "Oh, well, we're going to charge you more." So all we really have to do is just give Netflix a fair deal of like, we're not going to overcharge you for the next season,
right,
but it'll be fair. So it's just really about making everyone happy. But I just think all the marketing stuff is fun, and doing these awesome billboards and pissing off Republicans.
Right?
It's fun.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So
anytime you can piss off a Republican, go for it.
Right?
I'm in. I think this sounds great. And I'm already jonesing for like some graphics or a trailer or some music to play.
Something to show you, yeah.
Do you guys want to hum a little bit? Big show-stopping musical number. And
Baby could
5,
definitely
6,
potentially
7, 8.
do that.
Oh,
I'm just
no.
I'm kidding.
Put me on the spot like that, Jason.
You just have to order a
Like you
headband.
don't like
Okay.
it.
Oh my gosh.
Baby's written all the music, and it's incredible.
Can't wait.
To say the least. Can I read a line of it if you're not going to say it? There's one I love.
Please.
Yes, you can read a line of my music, Jason.
So this is how many songs are there in the entire show, Baby, that you've written?
There are 22.
22. So this is the first one, and this is, I believe the song is called Closet, and it's sung by Annie. And there's just one little bar that I think is incredible writing. So she says, "I want to be seen as I am. I want to date whomever I can because I don't really think about what your gender is, not giving a shit, but some attention to my clit when I'm out of this closet." So lyricism.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
That's great.
And like these songs are hilarious, but then they also do get serious. But that, there are 23 songs. There's a ton of songs in this series. It's incredible.
That's great.
Yeah.
Even a Spanish song.
Yes, I threw in a reggaeton number since that's like what pop music is now.
Nice.
Might as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, look, I'll give you guys the last word before we let you go here. If you've got anything else that we didn't cover that you want to make sure we get out there, and then we'll remind people where they can find you.
Yeah, thank you. Baby, do you want to start?
I mean, we've kind of gone through everything, but like Super Gay is a queer superhero musical, and it's got like a colorful, amazing cast that's representing so many different identities, and I think that's super important, and that's something that we've been denied for so long. Super Gay is everything we've needed in a show and haven't gotten yet. Attacking the issues for youth, for college students, and showing this history of like colleges aren't just this like fun, vapid place. Like there is history being made in colleges right now, as they've always been. Super Gay is something I hope will reach so many people, and that's why we need a little help.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a super inspiring show. It's got like the humor of Deadpool 2 with the music of My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and La La Land. It's extremely well written by Baby and her team. It's awesome. And like I don't think, like I said, in my directing career moving forward, I don't think I'll ever have the chance to be a part of a project as groundbreaking as this is and as important for a community as this is. I truly think this will be like, it could potentially be one of the most important LGBTQ films or shows ever. It's incredible. And while it is a lot of fun and singing and laughs and explosions, it's a superhero movie, there are some really important scenes and characters and moments in this thing that we can't wait to share with the world. And so just in terms of funding too, if you do want to donate, anything you can give helps. And if you know anyone that wants to donate or would want to be a part of the project in any way, please email Baby. Her email is in the link of the GoFundMe. And please, at the least, just share it on Facebook or Twitter. That would help us a ton. So yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome. And yeah, we'll make sure to have the link in the show notes. We already shared it in the chat for the live show tonight. And
thank you.
And we'll send people that way and keep us updated.
Yeah.
And as things go on, I'd love to see how things are going and I'm excited. I can't wait.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You're welcome anytime.
Okay.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Jason, Carmen, and Baby Bagos Hood, co-creators of Super Gay.
I'm super excited.
Yeah. I even just based on like the little introductory statement.
Yeah. I'm hooked.
I was hooked, but then like now that I've heard more about it,
right?
Now I'm like, can we fast forward and just have it be done already? And
I love that
I don't want to wait.
It was the child of a drunk text.
Yes, right. So great. I mean, if you're gonna come up with a great idea, drunk text is the best way.
You might as well do it that way.
All right, hey, let's take a real quick break here. I'm gonna get a bit more ice for my rum.
Me too.
And then we'll come back and talk about some of the stuff in the news and what we're doing for the holidays.
Sounds
After this, this is SarahTalk.
Are you ready for your first card? As I look at the set I placed down for you, I see an interesting things rising. Some of it has to deal with love and money and changes, and hopefully they're going to be for the better. Now your first card represents your situation, maybe some problems you've been having, maybe a little bit about yourself. Your first card is sorrow. This card is letting us know that there is some type of disruption in your life. Not that it's a big deal, but this card is giving off a strange vibe of anxiety. Actually, this card is warm in my hand. Oh, now caller, if you listen here, I'm seeing in the cards. Oh, yes, the 45 of mangoes. The 45 of mangoes card says you're going to go on to Patreon and subscribe because there is nothing better than giving when receiving. What will you ask me? Find out now and I see for you. Call me now for a free tarot reading.
I was feeling so alone.
I was going through a really difficult time.
I was embarrassed and a little scared.
I didn't want to bother anyone.
I didn't think they'd understand.
I thought it would just make things worse.
It was tough at first, but I did it.
It ended up taking a huge weight off my shoulders.
I feel a lot better.
I'm glad I asked for help.
I asked for help. I asked for help.
I asked my teacher. I asked my aunt.
I asked my dad.
I asked my mom.
I asked the Trevor Project.
Now, I feel like I can get through this.
I know that I am brave.
You can do this.
You can do this.
You can do this.
Ask for help.
Ask for help.
Ask for help.
Ask for help.
Whatever it is, ask for help.
If you're thinking about suicide or need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. Trained counselors are there to help 24/7. Ask for help.
Hello, my friends. This is Sister Mary Atheist of the Church of Religious Avoidance down here in Bumblefuck, Alabama. Now, my friends, my people, my brothers and sisters, do you feel lost? Do you feel that swelling urge to be a part of something better? Well, let the word of SarahTalk help you. If you've never known the word SarahTalk, learn it, live it, love it. Can I get an amen? No? Good, 'cause we don't do that shit around here. My friends, we must all remember that the good word of SarahTalk doesn't happen for free. So get yourself over to patreon.com/SarahTalk and help us spread the word. Plant that seed and help it grow into secular, peer-reviewed empirical evidence for the good of all. In the name of the Sarah, the Becca, and the science-based podcast, amen, hallelujah, and holy shit.
Hey you, this is John from the Wayward Willis, and you are listening to the SarahTalk podcast. You know who else is listening? God. He's listening and he's pissed. He has to send Jesus out of the room because of all the fucking profanity. Clean up your act, SarahTalk. You make baby Jesus cry.
I will never not laugh.
Right?
At that.
No, that'll always be funny.
Ugh, so good. John, we miss you.
Yeah.
Hey, that was a great chat.
That was a great chat.
Thanks again to Jason and Baby. So
What was that?
I have no idea what you just did.
What?
Before we get into the news,
What did I do?
I don't know, nothing. It's over. For those of you who only watch us on the live stream and you're not subscribed, so make sure you subscribe to the podcast feed too, which you can easily find at SarahTalk.com, because you might be missing out on midweek episodes that are not part of the live stream, right?
No.
So this week I did a midweek episode with Objectively Dan.
That's why I wasn't there.
That's why you weren't there.
Because I'm not subscribed to the podcast.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
And so and we did this midweek because that's when he and I could, get our schedules together. And I did throw the live stream on while I was recording with Dan. And I'm glad I did, because the power went out again on the computer that records the show. So the live stream audio, if you've been listening to the feed and it sounds a little, maybe not the greatest, maybe not the same quality, that's probably why, because I'm using the audio from the live stream as a backup. But anyway, I talked to Dan, and Dan practices street epistemology and now hosts Truth Wanted, a new show with the atheist community of Austin and Texas. We had a great chat, and Morgan called in. I want to thank Morgan for calling in again. She willingly subjected herself to help us demonstrate street epistemology and talked about karma. And I think you'll enjoy it. In the comments at the end, I think she appreciated the conversation, and it made her think. And then she even said, like, I wish I had picked a different thing. Now that I know
what
the process is, I'd be willing to do that again, which is like, that's the goal. Like that's exactly, you know, reflecting on your beliefs. So thanks again, Morgan, for giving up some of your lunch break to help with that. That's episode 139. It's in the podcast feed, and it's on YouTube for a limited time too, if you want to go get it. But don't, let me warn you, on the YouTube, it's me alone in the studio, and I had the dog with me because everybody else was out of the house. And Gizmo is
a
baby. Yeah, 11 weeks now.
11 weeks. Well, 12 weeks today, I think. Yeah, 12 weeks.
And so I held her for a while, and then I put her down for a while, and then she squeaked and whined and cried for a while, and which doesn't work very good when you're recording audio. But anyway, so you'll see me like on the live stream, like putting the dog down here and reaching down to pet the dog.
The little baby.
Yeah.
She's so sweet.
I'm just saying, don't expect high quality video footage for the
right.
episode 139. That's all. Okay. We went to see Seth Andrews last week. We didn't talk about that yet.
We did. That was so
Holy
amazing.
crap.
Holy crap is right.
So
I love him.
This was kind of an immersion for you, I guess, into the atheist community, like in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that?
It was good. It was good. It was like going to church.
Going to atheist church.
I do got to tell you though, I had a very precise hall pass list, but I think Seth Andrews might have just
I can't wait to clip this out of the show and email it to him.
Went right to the top,
can't
baby. But he's married,
Seth's
but
a
I'm
good-looking
married, so it
guy.
doesn't matter. He's not
Seth's a
even
good-looking
that.
guy.
Well, he's a good-looking guy, but I could listen to him talk forever, which is probably why
That's why
his podcast works so well.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know how many people actually listen to his podcast that aren't atheists just to hear his voice.
Yeah.
Because, God,
I
that
don't know.
voice.
It's funny, and I don't know if we've mentioned this before or not, but like the thing about people who you hear, I have a face for radio, right? People say that.
Right.
That's built from truth, y'all.
It is.
I worked with some gnarly looking people who would never have made it in TV.
Mm-hmm. I had a lot of friends that worked for the radio that same.
Yeah. And like, because I had listened to these people before I started working at the radio
Isn't
station.
it so weird?
And then I
when you
met
see
them
and
and
you're
I was like, who? What? That voice comes out of that mouth? Oh my God. But yeah, it's interesting. But you don't have to be pretty to work in radio, which is why it worked for me. Anywho, thank you again to Seth Andrews and the Central Florida Freethought community for putting that on.
That's amazing.
That's great. We're working on some big plans with that. Free Flow for 2019 is the Florida Freethought Convention. We're going to be a part of that this year, for sure. Like whatever we were investing in Orlando Pride, that's going to Free Flow now. Yeah.
I support that.
So we'll do Polk Pride, and then we'll do Free Flow, and maybe some other things. Funding pending, especially if I have to buy a new computer.
No kidding.
But Free Flow's great. They have a lot of good speakers. Seth has been there.
Mm-hmm.
He was there last few years, probably.
You okay over there?
And I'm burping up my drink. I'm trying not to right into the microphone.
Come on, give it all you got, baby.
And so we'll probably table at that. And I don't know, whatever else they want us to do. If they want us to stream stuff or whatever, I'm in. I think that'll be a good time. So then let's talk about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's coming up. What are you thankful for?
What am I thankful for?
Yeah.
I'm thankful that I have a roof over my head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful that my mommy can't force me to go to the Kingdom Hall anymore.
Yep.
Looking at you, you know who you are. I feel like even though it's been a rough year, I got my knee fixed and I'm on the mend and I think times are looking up.
Yeah, I think you are better now, physically at least, than you were when you started the year.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm 100% in a better place than I was. So, yeah, I think I'm still getting the momentum, but going into the end of the year, I think I feel much better than I have.
I was a little worried that if you didn't stay with the the physical therapy, that it was going to get harder, like progressively.
Right.
But you've done really well.
I've done really well.
Yeah,
I've tried to remember, like, to know the signs, to feel it, like when it's starting to get stiff. Okay, that means I'm not moving enough, and what do I need to change up? And I think going to the school is helping because I'm pushing myself there in ways that, when I'm at home and I'm just at home, it's harder to get up and move around and do when I'm just at home and I'm like, oh, I can wait until later. But so I just got to get back on that, where I was before.
Yeah.
Just get back to that level of activity. And I think once the little one starts pre-K,
yeah, I think that'll help with a lot of things.
I think that's like where I'm in that holding pattern right now, where I'm kind of still stuck.
Yeah.
Now I'm potty training a
dog
and a child. So that's probably.
Well, I read Victoria's there.
Well, Victoria says, I am thankful for the Sarah, the Becca, and the science-based podcast. Thanks for all the infotainment. I almost read that wrong.
We love you, Victoria.
Dan says, I'm thankful for my husband, my fur kids, and my new house.
Very good. And your new TV.
Yes. Yeah, Dan is sick right now, by the way.
I didn't know that.
I didn't see that part. He posted, I'm not going anywhere. I'm super sick and was in bed until 2 p.m.
No.
But I promised y'all I'd be here tonight after missing the past 2 weeks. So,
Dan, thank you, Dan.
We love you. And thanks for sticking around.
Listen, take care of yourself.
Thank you for sticking around for us. But if you have to go to bed to feel better, don't,
the past few years, because of my work schedule, I do not normally get to celebrate midweek holidays with any kind of that
tradition.
Makes me feel like I've been a part of it. Like, I might get up and have a little bite to eat and then go back to bed, or make an appearance, maybe, and maybe not. If I just don't wake up, I don't wake up, and you can pack me up some leftovers to take to work tonight, and that sucks. I hate that. But this year, and then you can share your thought.
Oh, okay.
This year, I'm celebrating Thanksgiving again. I too am thankful that your mother won't be here.
I was about to say that.
That your mother won't be coming here for Thanksgiving.
So, like, what for the past freaking what? How old is our oldest? Is 8. So for the past 8 years, my mom, who is not somebody who is supposed to celebrate Thanksgiving according to her religious doctrine,
right,
crashes our Thanksgiving. And usually she's, I'll cook the turkey, or I'll buy the turkey, or I'll whatever, and I'll come in.
Right. But that's the thing. Like, she says, I don't know what she says, but my religion says I'm not supposed to celebrate these holidays, but I have the time off from work because it's a holiday.
Long holiday.
So I wanted to come up and see the kids, and then rather than see the kids, she makes turkey and stuffing and the whole spread.
Now, I know
that's Thanksgiving,
right? The past few years, because of your work schedule, I've been able to kind of weasel out. We can't do it at our house because Sarah's sleeping and if everybody's here.
And
so
I appreciate that.
When my dad was living close by, we would just, let's just do it at Dad's house, and I'll bring the kids over. That gets the kids out of the house. It keeps the house quiet for Sarah.
Yep.
I bring her home a plate. Everything's
good,
fine, right?
Yep.
But now my dad's out of the country, and so she's not coming up this year. She's got some things going on. I guess she's spending some time with some friends that are visiting from out of town. So I don't know. I think it might be like a Pizza Hut Thanksgiving. Is that horrible? Because that's what my kids eat.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that.
I'm not going to cook a turkey for the two. We bought smoked pork butt. The music department at our son's school puts on
best meat I have
Every
ever
year
put
they sell like
in my
it's
mouth.
like a 10-pound pork butt, and they smoke it, and you just pick it up and you put it in your cooler and you take it home. It was so good. It's the first year we've been able to do it. But it benefits the music department, so it's like, oh, yeah, take my money, give me pork, I'll eat it, and you go play your music. So good. So I think that's going to be our
new tradition.
Our
yeah.
new tradition, because they do it like that week, right the week before Thanksgiving. So we'll be eating pork all week.
Yep. Dan says, third shift is the worst. No one understands how limiting that shift is until they've experienced it.
True that.
And let me tell you, I needed to take some time off. So our son has a school field trip coming up. And so in order for me to take the time off to stay home with the littlest one,
so that I can go,
so that Becca can chaperone, in order to get 1 day off, we must take 2 days off. And do I get more vacation time in my bank? No. You get the same as everybody else. Right, but if I want Wednesday off, I have to take Tuesday night into Wednesday and Wednesday night into Thursday. And people just don't get that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Okay. Black Friday. Are you shopping this year?
Well, now that my mom's not going to be in town, I think I have to put a kibosh on that, because if she was going to be in town, I was going to leave the kids with her.
Oh, yeah.
But if she's not going to be in town, I'm going to have to wake you up.
Right.
So
then I'll have to take Thursday into Friday and Friday into Saturday off.
Right. So, but fortunately, we have a Target Red card.
Right. Did you order online?
I know the doorbusters aren't, but there's one thing that was supposed to be my Christmas gift that's going to be on a Black Friday sale for Target that I think we get early access on our Target card. So fortunately, there wasn't too much Black Friday this year that I absolutely can't live without. It's just going to be harder for me to figure out the little toys and stuff that they blow out of on Black Friday, or good stocking stuffers and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. It might happen. I might be able to.
I wonder if Black Friday is as big a deal as it has been. Like, I remember when I was younger, my mother and sisters would go every year at the ass crack of dawn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they wouldn't come home until well after dark. And that was the day, right? And now they're like pre-Black Friday sales and Cyber Monday. And JCPenney, I saw an ad. I think I was watching a YouTube video, and I saw this ad for Beat Black Friday sales. JCPenney's running this ad for this weekend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that's the new thing.
Like, shop now, because Black
yeah.
Friday's fine, but why not a week before? And I knew that was coming.
Well, Target's Red Card deal is shop online on Wednesday. Use your Red Card and get the Black Friday deal. And then they just ship it to your house. And if you have the Red Card, you get free shipping anyway. So it's like a win-win-win.
Yeah. When people were killing each other over Tickle Me Elmos, I knew something had to change.
Tickle Me Elmos and the Furbies. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It depends on what you're going for, though. There is one thing at Target that I've been looking for these, and Target finally has them. The weighted blankets for sensory.
Yeah, I saw Target had
they're going to
their
be
own thing or
they
something.
were like $100, but they're going to be $50 on Black Friday.
Yep.
So I might go just for that, because that's not necessarily a Christmas present, and I can take the kids if we do that.
Right.
But I just don't know, like, if that's a doorbuster or not. Like, the doorbusters are not going to be available on Wednesday to Red Card. You have to go to the store for those.
Right.
So I just don't know. I have to really sit down and study I'm running out of time. I need to study the ads.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to Walmart.
Oh, hell no.
Fuck that shit.
And the Walmart is like 3 blocks away, where the Target is
20 minutes.
20 minutes? Yeah. We'll drive past 14 Walmarts to get to the nearest Target if I have to.
And it's sad because I feel like since we moved to this house, I've shopped at Walmart way more now than I've ever have in my life. And the other day we went out. Our son wanted to go with us, and we were just running to Walmart. I had to get diapers or some shit that I was like, I'm not going all the way to Target for this when I can get it at Walmart for the same price. And he's like, can I go with you? And oh no, he needed shoes. That's what it was.
Yeah.
He needed shoes. That's what it was. He said, I'll go with you. Can I wear my pajamas? And I looked at Sarah, and she says, it's Walmart. And I shit you not, he wore his union suit, fleece, spacesuit pajamas into Target.
Hey, why not?
Or Walmart.
Dan says, I bought the new TV today at Best Buy at Black Friday prices. So
you
there
go, Dan. See, you don't have to go to Black Friday.
Okay, what about Christmas decorating?
Done.
I think you would have decorated the day after Halloween if we hadn't had to buy a new tree. I can't do live trees. You can talk about that if you want. But absolutely after election night. I thought you were prepared.
Let's go there because yes, absolutely after Halloween if we had a tree, and then election night, and this was what I did. This is how I thought I wanted to make myself feel better after election day. I wanted to set up Christmas, decorate for Christmas, and then I discovered that last year after Christmas, I told my mother-in-law, you see that tree that Sarah's had for 10 years? It's like ex-wife tree. Yeah. I've been wanting to get rid of that thing forever. And look at how many tinsels are on the ground. Just put it by the road. And the tree was gone within 30 minutes. And I completely forgot about that. Otherwise, the tree would have been up.
Yeah.
It would have been.
But hey, we got a new tree.
It was old. So, yeah. And then that just made that day after election day worse, though. Because then we went to Target to go get a new tree to do like emotional shopping.
Was emotional for
and
sure.
It really messed me up because the price that was on the website was listed differently. And then there was like a cartwheel, but it didn't add up the right way. And then Sarah thought the height was too short, but then she couldn't really tell because Target puts their trees up here on top of a thing. And so she's like, I have to see it. And so I ended up going to Walmart of all places and getting a tree there.
But we got a tree.
So
I can't do live trees because I don't know. I might be able to. We haven't had a live tree around since I was a child, and I was like, apparently I was very allergic as a child. Yeah. So
we had one.
I just haven't even tested it.
This is really funny. Because my mom was a Jehovah's Witness before she was with my dad, and my dad was never a witness before they just didn't go to church or anything. They weren't even religious. And my grandmother was like Queen of Holidays. You could see her house from a mile away decorated for every single holiday. And I'm talking President's Day, you got it. Leprechaun St. Patty's Day, you got it. She had decorations. She was crafty. She had So she made stuff and decorated and painted little ceramics for every single holiday known to man, right? So he came from that. Like you walk in at Halloween and like there's skeletons fly at you,
ghost
and
jumps down in front of you. Yeah.
She had this like it was like a Roomba with an inflatable count on it, and it would like remote control around. Terrified the shit out of me when I was a kid. But that was my grandmother, and then Christmas she had the tree that spun and the train and the everything. So that's where my dad came from, and my mom was raised Catholic and then converted to Jehovah's Witness and got rid of holidays, and then so when we were kids, we celebrated Christmas, but we never had a tree.
Right.
So when we would get up on Christmas morning, our presents would be like on the piano. We had stockings hung on the wall, and then we had our Christmas presents were just on the piano. It was really weird. But the last year before we started going to Kingdom Hall, my mom finally caved in and we got a tree, and it was a live tree. And that's like the only Christmas tree I ever had was a live tree.
Wow.
So
that one year.
Wow. And my grandmother's tree was always, from what I remember, a live tree, but she had like all these little things that that moved, and it was just crazy.
I think there's an interesting story in there somewhere about your mom being raised Catholic and then convert. Like, how do you convert to how did she get dragged into that?
I don't
cult?
know. I've never asked that question.
I would love to hear that story.
Maybe you should ask her.
The last time we talked about anything,
you should epistemologize her.
You're right. I should.
You should.
But see, the interlocutor has to be willing to have that conversation in that style and not argue. But
she's not willing to even look in the eyes, so I don't know.
You're right. All right, let's move on.
Go on.
News time. So, believe it or not, the 2018 midterm elections still aren't over yet. Florida recounts and refusals to admit defeat and runoff elections. Oh my. And we're not going to get bogged down in the drama that's Florida right now this week. Maybe we'll do that next week when the dust settles a little bit. But one of the aforementioned runoff races will take place November 27th between Mississippi Republican and bold...
Sorry.
You're fired. and bold racist white lady, Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, and Democratic Representative Mike Espy. I'll jump in here to the punchline. A black guy. Hyde-Smith came under fire after a short clip of her speaking at what appears to be a small campaign event. It hit Twitter, and I was going to play it for you, but there's a lot of wind noise, and there's like a train driving by, so it's really hard to hear her say this. And she issued a statement on Sunday saying, in a comment on November 2nd, I referred to accepting an invitation to a speaking engagement. In referencing the one who invited me, I used an exaggerated expression of regard, and any attempt to turn this into a negative connotation is ridiculous. What she meant to say is, I'm more than a bit racist. What was this exaggerated expression of regard, you may ask? Quote, if he invited me to a public hanging, I'd be on the front row. End quote.
Right. Yeah. That cunt.
Cue the white Republican snowflake outrage. What do you mean that's racist? That's racist. This is racist against white people. I can't fly my rebel flag anymore. I can't wear my pointy hat and my wizard robes out in public. Hell, you know, my grandpappy used to hang Negroes by the... Hold on, I'm actually completely racist. And just for history's sake.
Oh, my God.
If you weren't already convinced that Mississippi's like the plantation owner of garbage states, Mississippi had the highest number of lynching in the nation between 1882 and 1968. Now, to add a dash of perspective here, Hyde-Smith was born in 1959, so she would have been 9 years old in 1968, the end of that right time period.
So her grandparents and her
now,
parents,
we
the
don't
people
know that.
I'm just saying, a lot of your
right
held beliefs and personalities and your paradigm, if you will, comes directly from those older people around you when you're a child.
Yes. And I get, like, for many of us, this seems like an imperceptibly long time ago. But consider just this, right? In 1964, when the Beatles were taking over the world,
oh God,
and young Cindy Hyde-Smith was just 5 years old, 200 people gathered in her hometown of Brookhaven, Mississippi, approximate population of 10,000, agreeing to a 40-page constitution that included the extermination of blacks as a rational response to the growing civil rights threat, thus creating the White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. When she was 5 years old in her hometown.
Wow. You know what? I know people that were, like, when they were 5 years old, you know what they were hearing about? How Armageddon was going to come, and there were going to be earthquakes and floods and fires.
Right.
And they still have nightmares to this day because of the things that they were influenced over when they were 5 years old. So you can't say that doesn't stick with you.
Right.
Anything that happens around you when you're a kid. I mean, I still do too. Like, it's just something in your subconscious, and you might not believe it.
Yep.
You might not think that it's any, you know, like, and it doesn't matter what it is. It can be a religious belief. It could be a personality, whatever this is. No,
you're right. And again, like, we're not saying that she witnessed a lynching as a child.
Right.
We don't know that. We don't know if any of her family were involved in the KKK, or going back a couple more generations were slave owners. But I think you're right. I think it's safe to assume that growing up in that culture, and likely she probably she's probably said shit like that around people who are like-minded and has never been corrected.
Sure.
Right.
Like, it's just part of, it's hard because it's like you don't even probably realize that it's coming out or that it's inappropriate or anything. I mean, you know, it's hard because it's if it's never been corrected because you've always been in a bubble.
And then when it does get corrected in a public way like this, then
Right.
it's nope, that's not right. That's not what I meant. You're taking it out of context, whatever,
Yeah.
right? Now, this is not just a problem of yesteryear. In 2017, 6 different Klan organizations were identified in Mississippi, with 3 of them being white knight groups.
So I just, is this like Mississippi's version of like locker room talk?
Maybe.
Because I mean, if everybody
Yeah.
talks like that in their own little circles, oh, I didn't mean anything by it. It was just a joke. Like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, like my high school English history teacher that said things like, "I don't have a problem with black people. I think everybody ought to own one or two."
right?
Like
Yeah,
that guy,
like
right?
yeah, like it's, like yeah, it's joking, but at whose expense? And,
Right, and has no one stood up and said,
Right.
"Hey, man, you can't talk like that.
Right.
The fuck is wrong with
Right.
you?"
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, this all seems absurd to us because, like, we didn't live through these times, right? You and and I don't know the age demographics of our listenership, but I'm sure a lot of it skews a little younger. But
Sure.
there are many people alive today who did live through that.
Right.
And their terrible groups are still active, and in Trump's America, they're emboldened all over again, and they vote.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of voting, this one's going to a runoff, which typically, so runoffs generally favor the Republicans, which is why, like, if the Florida races were going to go into a runoff, they're going to be decided Republican anyway, and it's because they are the largest slice of the pie chart in America that have like little to no barrier to voting.
Right.
Right. So if you're in Mississippi, why? First of all, why are you still in Mississippi? And fucking vote.
Victoria says, "Grab them by the burning cross."
There you go. Yes. Yeah. Grab them by the noose.
Yeah.
To make matters worse, another video came out from a campaign stop in Starkville, Mississippi on November 3rd, where speaking to students outside a tour bus, same woman, she's caught saying, quote, "And then they remind me that there's a lot of liberal folks in those other schools who maybe we don't want to vote. Maybe we want to make it just a little more difficult. And I think that's a great idea." End quote. Racist?
Oh,
check.
man.
Voter suppression? Check.
Shit.
And of course, she's tried to blow this off as a joke, too.
Of course.
right?
Oh, because, yeah.
She and they blamed she blamed the person who posted it for selective editing. Then on her campaign's Twitter, she tweeted, quote, "It's okay to still have a sense of humor in America, isn't it?" Look, humor is generally meant to be funny.
Nothing about anything that you've been joking about is funny.
You don't have a sense of humor. Sorry. That wasn't funny.
If you think it's funny, there's a place for you in hell. Like,
Dan says the Arizona senator race was initially called for Republican Martha McSally until all the votes were counted and certified. Then miraculously, Democrat Kirsten Sinema was declared the winner by the Elections Commission. Now, not only is she Arizona's first female senator, she's also bisexual. Yeah, amen. I saw another one. Was it in Tennessee that was decided just by one vote?
oh, no, I didn't see that one.
Hang on, I have it here.
Dan, meanwhile,
Yes.
says, "How the fuck is Florida screwing up the vote counting again? Hanging Chads 2.0.
We're not talking about it tonight, but
I'm in a group.
They go to do the recount, and then all the machines start overheating, so they can't get it.
Yeah.
And then which was it, Broward or Palm Beach or whoever it was, turned in all of their things like 2 minutes late. And they were like, "Nope, can't accept those."
Because the
2 minutes late.
computer was like doing
Right, there was a
something
problem
slow.
with the thing. Yeah, it was in Kentucky. There was a Republican, Democrat beat Republican by 1 vote in the Kentucky State House race.
I'm in this Facebook group, and it's like Florida memes, and the guy that created the group, he does merchandise for Floridians, and it's like bumper stickers and T-shirts and baseball caps and coffee mugs, stuff like that. And he every now
Florida
and then
man masks.
You're right. Every now and then he puts it out like I'm putting out new gear. Give me suggestions. And it's like, you've seen the letters for the states, they're like little white circles, and they have
Yeah.
So he has one that's WTF, and it's Welcome to Florida. But the popular suggestion this week was Florida. I think I voted.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Like, how do you know? So yeah.
All right, moving on. Speaking of racists in the garbage South and Tennessee, Tennessee's Louis Klemp, Leavenworth County Commissioner, recently made a disgustingly racist comment at a public hearing, speaking to a black woman who was making a presentation on behalf of a landscape and architectural firm. Klemp, whose great-great-grandpappy was a slave owner, said, quote, "I don't want you to think that I'm picking on you because we're part of the master race. You know, you got a gap in your teeth. You're the master. Don't ever forget that." End quote. Now, apparently, he was trying to say, like, you and me, we both got the tooth gap, so we're the master race. I don't know what the hell this is all about. I don't get it. There's no master race, by the way, just to clarify. That's not a thing. Doesn't exist.
Master key, master bedroom,
Masturbate.
masturbate.
I love you. That was not in the script.
It totally wasn't.
You don't even have a script. That was great.
Oh, man.
And pardon me while I kneel during the national anthem at a football game for good guy with a gun, Jemel Roberson. I know you saw this story. Over the weekend, police were called to a shooting at a bar in Robbins, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago. 26-year-old security guard, Jemel Roberson, who worked at the bar, had subdued the alleged shooter in the parking lot, pinning him to the ground with a knee on his back and a gun pointed at his back. Now, quiz time. Police arrive and see a young man on the ground with a gun in someone's back. What happens next? Wait, hold on. Did I mention he's a young black man? Midlothian Police Chief Daniel Delaney said one of his officers encountered a subject with a gun and shot him. Illinois State Police issued a statement saying that a Midlothian police officer encountered a subject in plain black clothing with no marking, readily identifying him as a security guard. Bullshit. Armed with a gun in the west parking lot. It continues, according to witness statements, the officer gave the armed subject multiple verbal commands to drop the gun and get on the ground before ultimately discharging his weapon and striking the subject. But other witnesses say that command was given only once, and within 5 seconds the officer fired. Other witnesses said he was wearing a hat and sweatshirt with security in giant bold letters clearly on them. One witness saying he was wearing an orange vest marked security, and people were screaming out, trying to tell the officer that he was security. Now, eyewitness accounts are not always credible because in a stressful situation, your brain does things that, that we don't fully understand how all of that works. But it seems like the vast majority of the opinion is that, no, it was clearly identified as the security guard. Cook County Sheriff's Office and Robbins Police Department are investigating, and Roberson's family filed a lawsuit against the Midlothian Police Department and the officer who shot him, seeking $1 million in damages. Hear me. I'm tired. I'm fucking tired of this happening. I'm tired of seeing stories like this pop up in my feed. Mm-hmm. Roberson had even talked about becoming a police officer himself.
God.
And, you fuckers, he was the father of a 9-month-old son. The child's mother, Avantia Boos, said, "This was going to be my baby's first Christmas with his dad, and now he's going to miss out on everything. This is why we kneel. This is why we protest. This is why you're just wrong when you say that the solution to gun violence is more armed guards. Mm-hmm. You don't have a good argument, and I'm tired of it." Take a drink.
See, I didn't know all of that because I saw the story and I couldn't even get that far into it because it just pissed me off so much. Because okay.
Yep.
I'm done.
Okay.
But I don't know if you saw this. They had set up a GoFundMe.
Yes. Oh, raised a shit ton of money.
Did Kanye West donated like $150,000 to this GoFundMe.
Okay.
Like he might be out of his mind, but I mean, at least he's got a good.
Right, as long as he doesn't go meet with Trump anymore.
You're right. I think he's done with Trump.
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, let's stay on our tour of the shitty South for just a little bit longer. Stay with me just a little bit longer.
When do we get to go to Canada?
Soon. Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. Okay, we've often given a lot of shit to Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin for being a Christian dominionist theocrat and an idiot. On a recent radio interview, he weighed in on the mass shooting problem. Any guesses what he thinks the problem is?
There's not enough Jesus.
Not exactly.
Midterms turned out. One of the things that concerns me, Nancy Pelosi is already gearing up. Chuck Schumer's already gearing up. They think they've got a mandate on gun control and increased measures there. We've had some very tragic situations here in our own state that involved maniac shooting someone that appears for racial reasons. It's 2 people. And these things have been happening. We obviously had the situation in Marshall County. Thank God, the state police were able to stop because of a vigilant citizen in New Jersey what could have happened at Anderson County and potentially Shelby County. Do you foresee any? How will Kentucky stand up for the Second Amendment? And is there a possibility that we would try to push for less gun-free zones instead of more in the wake of these shootings?
I don't know that we're going to see it pushed one way or the other in Kentucky. We have had some terrible tragedies, and we have things that are fueled by both people that are insane and people that are hateful and people that are just bent on wreaking havoc and perpetuating evil. And this has sadly occurred since the dawn of man, and it occurs using guns at times, and it occurs using any number of other methods. And it's, to me...
But more often guns. At this moment, more likely.
Right.
More likely to be a gun. Specific gun, too.
It's tragic. And what I have said every time, which people get upset about, is that this is indication of deeper cultural problems. It just is. People don't want to admit that, because to admit it is to admit that perhaps the culture itself, which is comprised of every one of us, has some collective responsibility for doing things differently. And it's not simply making new rules. But
new rules would help.
Usually, if you have a child act up, you have to change the rules a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
In Kentucky, we have long been defenders of the Constitution, all of it, including the Second Amendment, and I don't think that's going to change. I really don't.
I agree with you about the cultural problem, but let's explore that a little bit. What do you specifically mean?
The gun culture in America. I'm sorry, you weren't asking me. I think we have a problem that guys get aroused by firearms, and that's the problem.
Is there a term for that?
What did we used to call that? There is. Ammosexual.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Okay.
I've said it is everything from, it starts with whether or not we respect human life, period.
Okay, now here comes the abortion. It's about human life. I respect human life. What's it got to do with it?
Are we a culture that celebrates life, or are we a culture that celebrates death? And increasingly, through any number of mediums, we're a culture that celebrates death.
How? Who's celebrating death?
I've not been to. Well, never mind.
But I mean, okay, we I don't know. We celebrate death.
Okay,
I know where he's going because I've watched the clip, but
I don't particularly have any memories of going to a funeral where we were dancing on the coffin. You don't celebrate death so much as you celebrate that person's life at the end of it.
Right.
And certainly you're not celebrating their end of life if they've died in an untimely manner.
But Okay, that you're talking about celebrating a life, okay, or a death. What would you do if you were just going to celebrate death in general? Like
I don't know, throw a rave at a cemetery?
We are. People don't like to talk about it or think about it, but we are. And it starts with everything from the kind of entertainment that we focus on. What are the most popular movies? Seriously, what's the most popular topic that seems to be in every cable television network, for example?
Right.
That's a sitcom, not a sitcom really, as much as just a drama.
Right.
These television shows are all about what? Zombies. Seriously, I don't get it. I really don't understand that.
I don't either. Okay.
Fair enough.
I'm not big into the zombie genre. That's not my thing. But he's leading down the satanic panic path right now of it's the movies and the television and the music and the rock and roll and the video games and it's the entertainment in society that's turning our kids.
Okay. It's total bullshit. Total bullshit. I will agree to a point that the entertainment has left much to be desired. There's this video game where you can go into a nightclub and shoot up gay people. Yeah. That's horrendous. Yep. I don't think that should be allowed. Yep. But you know what? When I was a teenager, I was playing Grand Theft Auto 4.
Sure.
And you drive around, you steal cars, you pick up hookers, you whatever.
Have you ever stolen a car?
Not in real life.
Have you ever picked up a hooker?
Nope.
Ever shot anybody?
Nope.
Okay. So it's not the video games.
Right? So while I think I wouldn't want my kid playing that, my kid's 8 years old right now. When he's a teenager,
right, he's going to be into shit like that.
He's going to be into stuff like that, and I'm not going to have a say in it really because I didn't let my mom know what I was doing.
Right.
So.
All right, you got about a minute of this left.
Okay.
I was never a big fan of space and science fiction either.
Not a big fan of science at all, I would imagine. Fiction or
but now it's all about zombies.
Well,
what we are. Do we celebrate death? And that may seem trite and simplistic, and how is that connected to anything? But when a culture is surrounded by, inundated by, rewards things that celebrate death, whether it's zombies in television shows, whether it's the numbers of abortions that we just indiscriminately think is just okay, tens of millions of people in recent years. And then that's okay. That's just who we are. It's just for convenience. There's 1,000 justifications for why we do this.
Nobody said abortions are for convenience. That's not a true thing.
What in the world?
Not a true thing.
I hate it when they put their spin on this shit. Because you know what? He very obviously has no idea what he's talking about because he's never been in a situation where that was even,
Right. No, and this is probably...
Speaking from a place of privilege is what it is.
Sure. And this is probably one of these guys that raises his kids up and you can't go see anything other than a G-rated movie unless I've seen it first.
Right. Oh, that was the rule in my house and my religion.
Can't rent a video from the store unless I know what it is and watch it.
You'd
play Bible stories on NES.
I bought a
Toad
game. The Wet Sprocket album, and I got in so much trouble because my mom found the lyrics sheet and it had a cuss word in it.
Oh, no.
So freaking serious, right? And Toad the Wet Sprocket, come on. They were tame.
And whether people think those justifications are good or not, these are drips, drips, drips on the stones of the psyches of young generations that are growing up in a society that increasingly says this is normal and okay. And eventually, some of those young minds are not going to be able to handle it. And this is what we're seeing.
And then we should provide them with quality mental health care that's accessible and affordable. It's not going to be caused by whatever nonsense you're talking about. But the people who go off the rails and do these terrible things for reasons that are associated with mental health should be able to walk into any clinic in the United States without regard to ability to pay or insurance or citizen status. I don't give a shit what it is. You should be able to walk in and say, help me.
Well, and that's the thing that I always thought was interesting is by taking this one person who might have a real mental illness and problem and giving them the help they need and rehabilitating them, you might spend a lot of money and they might not be able to pay that bill. But how much money are you going to save how many lives could that save? How many possible ripple effect medical bills and lives will not be touched in a negative way if you help that one person? It's being proactive instead of reactive, and it's a very basic concept, and I don't understand why it's so difficult for people in places of power to grasp this.
Right. What are some things that your parents told you couldn't have? Let's do that. You can send us an email, type it in the chat, 224-40-SARAH, and leave us a voicemail. Michael had a good one.
Michael says, Mom didn't like my George Michael Faith album because he had a cross earring. My grandmother bought me a cross necklace once, Michael. My mom didn't like that.
Yeah. There you go again,
right?
Mike. Which flavor of Christian are you? Can you wear religious iconography or not?
Well, witnesses don't believe that Jesus died on the cross, and but they always would say their whole reason as to why the cross was ridiculous was that, well, I never understood it. Well, if your loved one got shot, would you wear a gun around your neck?
That's actually a good argument. Like, look, if
it just never makes sense to me.
If during those same times, right?
Sure.
We were electrocuting people.
Right.
And Jesus had been electrocuted in an electric chair.
Yeah.
Would you wear a necklace with a little electric chair charm around your neck? Like, why would that be okay?
No, that part of it totally makes sense, but I could never understand why they use that to like, I don't know, I guess maybe it's just easier to say that than to explain why they believe that the cross was
that's my question. Why do they believe that?
Because the word for cross, or it's something in the word, I can't even remember, but it's some biblical research. The word for stake was tree, and a tree isn't a cross.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's all in the language breakdown and who translated what. It's just ridiculous. Sorry, am I being bad?
I couldn't tell if that was you or a child outside the door. Okay, no. Moving on. Activists and protesters erupted last week in Ireland when a 27-year-old man was found not guilty of raping a 17-year-old girl. Did you see this story?
No.
The man argued that the sex was consensual, and his lawyer said that the lace thong underwear she was wearing was evidence that the teen was, quote, attracted to the defendant and was open to meeting someone and being with someone, end quote. During the defense's closing argument, the lawyer asked the jury to consider the teenage girl's underwear, saying, quote, you have to look at the way she was dressed, end quote. Discuss.
What?
Yeah. Ireland.
No.
Well, but Becca, why else would a young girl wear sexy underwear like that?
Because if you want to wear something that makes you feel sexy, that doesn't necessarily give anybody permission.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you're asking for anything.
Yep.
It just makes you feel good about yourself. So no.
Mm-hmm.
No dice.
Hey, furthermore, if clothing equals consent, tell that to like the Muslim women in burqas who also get raped, and they're showing like a little bit of face in their hands, and that's it.
I could see half of your eyeball.
Oh, your eyes really turned me on. Like, what?
Stupid.
Well, Irish of all genders gathered in Cork on Wednesday to protest the idea that clothing relates in any way to consent. Many holding signs with thongs or underwear hanging on them.
Yeah.
A bunch of underwear was placed on the courthouse steps, and now people the world over are tweeting pictures of their lacy underwear with the hashtag, "This is not consent." So let's raise our glass to these protesters.
I gotta tell you, this it's so damaging because once upon a time, way back in the day, I don't know, I was a teenager probably when I started working at Macy's, and I started buying my own clothes. Found these really nice cotton stretchy thongs, and they were the most comfortable underwear I've ever, so comfortable. And it was like, I would do my own laundry, so I didn't worry about it. And I don't know. I remember having an awkward conversation with my mom one time when she found my thong underwear in the laundry. Like, why do you have underwear like that? Why do you need? Like, first of all, none of your business. Second of all, panty lines, bitch.
Right.
You know,
but
like,
it's the assumption that it
means
underwear is
something.
sexual.
Right. Like, holy
Yeah.
crap. I also, like, one time when I was coming of age, we had an awkward conversation about how tampons, you should only use tampons once you're married.
What? You're going to take your virginity with a tampon? Is that the problem?
I don't know if she thought sex stretches it out so the tampon fits better, or I don't know what that was.
I'm sure, like,
But
because you're
then-
not supposed to touch yourself. You're not
Right,
supposed
sure.
to shove your fingers in there.
Right.
You're not supposed to.
But it was so weird for me because then when I got baptized, I had my period. And I had to get in a pool. And she's
Right.
like, oh, here, use a tampon. But you had already told me that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, your mom's a little flaky
So
anyway,
it's
but
just-
okay.
But it's it's so damaging to have these opinions that all of this stuff goes back to sex, because it doesn't.
Right.
And even if it did,
yes.
who the fuck cares?
Right. Consent. Enthusiastic consent.
Right.
And do whatever makes you feel good. Like,
I don't know.
As someone who grew up feeling in the wrong body, and the only way I could express my femininity was through underwear.
Right.
Because nobody
You
knew.
can't see
Nobody
it.
could see
Right.
it. That, I think the trans feminine community, that's a common story.
Sure.
That you hear from trans girls. We have an entirely different relationship to underwear.
Right.
Like,
Sure.
because of that.
I get it.
Yeah. But it's still not like people. And so I think in the trans community, I think people assume that that's also sexual because, like, when you're wearing that, again, this is like, so rewind way back, way pre-transition, living in the closet, getting your fix, dressing up every once in a while. And it made you feel good to dress like that.
Right.
And it didn't take long that it's going to arouse you to feel good about yourself.
Sure.
You get turned on and then you masturbate. And what happens after you masturbate, kids? You feel guilty. Thank you, Jesus.
Right.
Fucking religion. You feel guilty for doing it. So...
And that
then
goes
you
back...
attach the guilt to the cross-dressing that you're using
Yeah.
to get in touch with your identity, and it's this whole, like, ball of twine.
I feel like that feeling guilty about putting it in the same bubble as you feel good about yourself.
Right.
But then you feel guilty because you felt good about yourself.
Mhm.
And that keeps
Mhm.
you right under the thumb. Because
Yeah.
you're not supposed to feel good about yourself because you're just an imperfect human and you're a sinner and you need Jesus. And and it's so disgusting.
Yeah. It's all about control.
Anyway,
let's wrap this up on a good note, eh?
Oh, good. What do we got? Go
Yeah.
on.
Yes.
I think I know what it is.
Tonight's Florida Man is brought to you by our top patrons: part-time patron Russell, OG co-host Mandy Imus, I vote, I like voting, we all voted, I still vote, Lamont, and Dan. To the Gatormobile, let's go.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
What do you have for me?
41-year-old Florida man Clade Carpuzzi.
Carpuzzi.
That's all I got.
That's a hell of a name.
Of Newport Richey was released from jail Tuesday on $5,000 bond where he had been held on an auto theft charge.
Oh, bad.
As he walked a free man into the parking lot of the jail, he noticed a car with the engine running, walked around the vehicle, and tried to break in and steal it. But
Oh my God.
But he didn't expect.
Don't die.
I might.
Don't die.
But he didn't expect what happened next. The off-duty deputy sitting inside that very car got out, identified herself as a deputy, then escorted Carpuzzi right back to jail. He now faces a second charge of attempted auto theft.
Oh my God.
He was released again Wednesday morning on another $5,000 bail.
Did he try to steal another car?
No, this time
Did he call it Uber?
no further incident.
Whoa, my God.
But there's a serious conversation to be had there, right? Like, again, it didn't look like he was in jail for very long.
No, like, yeah.
The first time, right? And even the second time, they were like, oh, okay, back off you go. $5,000, right?
Oh my God.
What are we doing to prevent people from reoffending?
Right. Apparently nothing in that case. Well,
right. But even people who are like put away for 20 years, we're still not doing enough.
Right. Oh my gosh. That's bold.
Yeah.
In the parking lot of the jail.
Couldn't even like walk across the street to Burger King or something in the parking lot.
Michael says if they just stop making cars so stealable.
All right. The next story.
Oh God, we gotta hear it again?
This one comes.
Okay.
No, it's the interstitial that's between scenes. Come on. Did you ever watch the original
You didn't
Batman?
do this last time.
No,
you
because
used
I
this
forgot.
clip, so-
I had it prepared and I forgot. This one comes from right here.
I'm not old enough to have
Will you
watched
let me
the
read
original
damn
Batman.
story?
No.
This one comes from right here.
Fucking twat.
This one comes from Polk County.
Oh shit.
And was sent in by Victoria, one of our favorite loyal listeners.
Backyard.
A Polk County woman brought a small clear plastic bag to her doctor's office and asked for it to be tested because she was scared what smoking it was doing to her and wanted the doctor to, quote, check her well-being. Any guesses what might have been in that bag?
I saw this one.
Meth. Of course. According to the Polk County Sheriff's Office, 73-year-old Barbara Lee Ray went to her doctor in Fort Meade on November 5th and removed 3 items from her handbag. A small clear plastic bag containing a white crystal-like substance, a small plastic container also containing a white crystal-like substance, and a prescription bottle with her name on it, which also contained... No, I'm just kidding. That was empty. The prescription bottle's empty. But both the bag and the plastic container tested positive for meth. According to the arrest report, she had been using the narcotic for about a month. After a short trip to the Bartow Regional Medical Center for medical clearance, she was booked into the Polk County Jail on 2 counts of possession of methamphetamine and 2 counts of possession of drug paraphernalia, and was later released November 7th.
Grandma, stop it.
Right?
Could you imagine?
I'm gonna die.
Could you imagine your parents?
No. Did you see this woman?
That's why I'm asking you. Like she looked like she would know them.
She reminded me of someone I used to work with.
Oh my gosh.
Do you remember her that I worked with at
Yes.
Disney? It's exactly who she looked like.
That's funny.
So there you go, kids. We've covered stories before where people took their drugs to the sheriff's office to be tested. And
Not a 73-year-old woman, though. That's crazy.
now the doctor. And so if you're out there wondering if your drugs are okay, you've got a couple options.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Don't take him to the police and don't take him to the doctor unless you want to go to the jail.
Victoria, who sent the story in, said, the only way this doesn't win this week is if an alligator gets caught with meth of its own. Also, meth? Really? Doesn't she know we're on to opioids now? If you're going to be a social degenerate, at least try to keep up with the latest trends.
Mm-hmm.
Your choices tonight.
Oh, crap.
Steal a car once, shame on you. Steal a car twice? Shame on our society for allowing or creating the environment where a guy even needs to steal a car in the first fucking place. Or, doctor, I have pain right here in my meth.
That was so bad. But I really want to know the people that vote for the first one, you have to type that whole thing out into
Well, nobody will vote for it then.
Oh my god. Yeah, I have to go with I have to go with Grandma.
I don't know, walking out of jail and trying to steal a car in the parking lot that a deputy is inside of is pretty great.
It is pretty good.
If you're looking for the world's worst superhero.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. This is a tough one. It really is.
All right, well, vote in the chat. Vote in Sarah Talk Podcast Listeners Group on Facebook. Let us know.
Gosh, guys.
Join the group if you're not already in the group. Join we're Sarah Talk Podcast Listeners on Facebook, and you can chat with us about the stories we talk on the show, and we post other things too.
Russell says cat the tiff. I don't know what that is. Is that car thief?
Russell's either drunk or swiping.
I think he's swipe for car thief.
Dan votes steal a car, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's great.
Oh, man.
All right, we'll give you another minute here to see if anybody else wants to weigh in, and then we'll wrap up the show. Car thief is what Russell said.
I know. I was just giving you a hard time, Russ. I have learned how to translate swipe.
Yeah, because every time he uses it, it never
works.
No, there's no idea what he's. I don't know. I tried to use swipe for a while, and it just didn't. It didn't work for me.
Couldn't imagine why.
All right, hey, let's wrap the show up here. Thank you to all of our wonderful patrons at patreon.com/SarahTalk. If you'd like to join our group of great patrons and get early access to episodes, patron-only content, the video vault, and more, head to patreon.com/SarahTalk. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Google Play. If you're not able to contribute to the show, that's how another great way you can support us. Rate us 5 stars anywhere you listen to the show. So with that, we'll see you next week, Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Facebook Live. You've been listening to Sarah Talk.
Sarah Talk is made possible by listener support. Visit patreon.com/SarahTalk to become a patron and help keep this program going. Contact Sarah and Company by email at producer@sarahtalk.com or call 224-40-SARAH. That's 224-407-2724. And follow us on social media, facebook.com/SarahTalkRadio and on Twitter @SarahTalkRadio. The opinions and information provided on this show are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of the hosts and their guests. We make no representations as to accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or validity of any information and will not be liable for any errors or damages. Sarah Talk is a production of Sarah Austin Media.